Hey guys, Dr. Dan here with Beacon of Life Chiropractic, and this morning I want to tell you exactly what chiropractic is all about. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever told you the truth about what chiropractic is, but what we do here all day, every day, changes lives, and it changes lives for a reason, and that's because your body was created perfectly. Your body's supposed to be able to work properly, but dysfunction happens along the way, and eventually symptoms are produced, and we typically focus on those symptoms here in America and managing those symptoms without ever getting to the root cause of the issue. So if nobody's ever told you before, I'm going to tell you the truth about what chiropractic is. Now, what we see is that folks typically have, which is understandable, preconceived ideas and notions about what they want chiropractic to be, or what they've been told chiropractic is, or what they've experienced chiropractic to be in the past. And so when it comes down to it, chiropractic is all about this word right here. It's a big fancy word, but it's actually very simple for what it means. And this word is pronounced subluxation. So I want to explain exactly what that means, and then I'm going to tell you why it matters, why it's important for you, for your family, how it affects ear infections, how it affects acid reflux, how it affects high blood pressure, how it affects digestion, sleep cycles, energy, heart rate, respiration, all of your vital functions, okay? So you're going to want to pay attention to this here. So sub, what that means is less than, okay? And then luxation means a state of misalignment or less than sub, a full dislocation or fracture. So what we're talking about here are the spinal bones. There's two parts to it. Spinal bones are misaligned. And the second part is really what matters, is that causes nerve interference or stress and pressure on the nervous system. So two things, subluxation is less than a full dislocation or fracture, but it is a spinal bone misalignment causing nervous system interference. Now, when you look at this chart here behind me, that's your nervous system. Your nervous system is a very, very simple thing, but it is the most important thing when it comes to how your body functions. Now, what it's comprised of is your brain that sits up here in your noggin, or at least we hope that it does. You look in one ear and see out the other ear, there's no brain in there. So the reality is that the brain's running the whole show. It's the computer, the master controller of the body. You know, I don't have to think about my pancreas producing insulin, regulating blood sugar right now, but that just happens. It just happens automatically. But how it works is through your nervous system. It's made up of your brain as well as your spinal cord that runs down through these bones here, between each of these bones. And then that spinal cord gives off nerves. So three things with your nervous system: brain, spinal cord, nerves. The way that my pancreas knows what to do, produce, secrete insulin, regulate blood sugar, is because messages come from the brain, down the spinal cord, and then out the nerves. Right in here about this T7, the seventh bone in your mid-back, that area is where the nerves come out and go to the pancreas, okay? So let me ask you this. I have a pair of scissors right here. For example, say that these nerves that go out to your pancreas, we take scissors and cut them. What's going to happen to the pancreas? Pancreas ain't going to work, right? Because the pancreas is not then getting the messages down and out from the brain, and it's not able to communicate back in and up to the brain. So the pancreas will have 100% communication and function cut off immediately if we have that extreme example. But how about this? Let's put it in more realistic terms. How about we have a subluxation? And what that looks like is this. Two or more spinal bones become misaligned, and these yellow parts here, that's the spinal cord and nerves on this model. When the spinal bones misalign, it starts to create nerve interference or pressure and stress on these nerves. Now, you can think of a subluxation like your car or your truck being out of alignment. Now, see, if our car or truck's out of alignment, a lot of times, unfortunately, we take better care of our cars and our vehicles than we do of our own bodies. But here's the thing, where there's lack of vision, people perish. When people don't understand where their health comes from, we have a bunch of patchwork that goes on, a bunch of treating and managing of the symptoms. But when your car's out of alignment, we take it right to the mechanic, or if our check engine light comes on, we don't just put a piece of duct tape over that thing and boom, we keep on going, we keep on driving, because if we don't figure out why the check engine light's on, we're going to wind up on the side of the road broken down, okay? But when we have a symptom's like a check engine light, a symptom in your body, a headache, high blood pressure, reflux, sciatica, numbness and tingling, they are all check engine lights, your body giving you a warning sign saying, help me, there's a cause to this problem, there's dysfunction in the body that's producing this symptom and we need to get to the cause. But typically what we do with our health is we put duct tape over the check engine light. We have a headache, we take Excedrin. We have reflux, we take omeprazole. We mask the symptom and then the car breaks down, our body breaks down over time after years of covering up a symptom, okay? So for some of you this is making sense and it's speaking your language here, so I'm going to give you the solution too, but this is the problem. This is why in America we make up 5% of the people in the world and we take over 70% of the world's drugs. Because we're really good at masking the symptoms, okay? Now for the short term, for crisis care, that's the way to go. That's what we need to do for the short term. For the long term, however, without getting to the root of that issue, that's why we get addicted to drugs. We're medication dependent. We take 70%, literally more than 2/3 of the pharmaceuticals in the world we take here as Americans, and they all have side effects, not some of them, they all have side effects, and it doesn't fix the root cause of the issue. So back to subluxation, the car out of alignment, just like the tires on the car, it's going to wear down the wheels or the tires on the car more rapidly and unevenly if we leave that car or truck out of alignment and keep on driving it, right? Keep wearing and tearing hard on that car, hard on those tires. So a lot of us have repetitive jobs. A lot of us are at a desk all day, or we're cutting hair all day, or we're driving in the vehicle all day. We're on our cell phones all day, or our children are on their tablets and cell phones all day, and that causes these spinal bones to get misaligned, among many other things that causes subluxation. Number one being the birth process, the twisting, the force, and the pulling to deliver a baby in a natural, quote-unquote, natural childbirth delivery. Medical research shows over a 90% rate of misalignment of the top two bones in the neck. So if you're a parent and you have children and they're having health issues, that's the first thing you want to look at is the birth process and causing misalignment or subluxation at the very, very top part of the neck causes nervous system interference, and then the symptoms follow from there. So again, if you follow me on this train of thought, we need to rewind it and not just focus on the symptoms, but get back to the cause of the issue. So we talked about the scissors cutting the nerves, and that creates 100% cutoff or stopping 100% of the communication from the brain to the body. But if we have nerve interference, if we have subluxation, and we leave it there, for example, for 20 years or 30 years or more, it doesn't create 100% complete cutoff of that information from the brain to the body, but it starts to interfere with that communication from the brain to the body. And then wherever that nerve goes, whether it be to a muscle, to an organ, or anywhere in the body, wherever that nerve goes, that end result tissue will start to dysfunction over time, and eventually it'll produce symptoms, letting your body know that there's a root cause of the issue. The orthopedic research says that that underlying nerve interference, the underlying weakness or subluxation, has to be there about 10 years on average before you start to get the warning sign, before you start to get the symptom. So similarly with dentistry research, they say that the underlying cause of cavities and toothache and decay in the teeth has to be there for about 7 to 11 years, so about 10 years on average, before you start to get pain from a cavity or a toothache. But we don't wait till our teeth are falling out to start brushing them. Do you follow me on that? So it takes time for the body to break down in dysfunction until the symptom comes, and then we react to that. We're taught to react to the symptom and suppress the symptom. So what chiropractic is about this. It's about subluxation, and it's about making very, very gentle and specific adjustments to correctly realign these bones with time and repetition. Just like it took time to get to our current state of health, it's going to take time for your body to heal and recover over time. But that's truly what health and what healthcare and healing is about your body replacing old cells and tissues with new cells and tissues. That's the healing process. You have a cut on your finger, the Neosporin and the Band-Aid doesn't heal the finger. Your body replaces old cells and tissues with new cells and tissues, a little bit of a scab, a little bit of a scar tissue, and then eventually it's completely replaced those cells and tissues, and you don't even know that there was ever a cut there on your finger before. So that's the healing process, and that's run through your nervous system. So that's why I want to teach you about what chiropractic is, and it's literally about your own body's ability to regulate its functions, to adapt to its environment or the stressors that it has to encounter and to heal itself from the inside out. And that's what the chiropractic adjustment does. It works to reduce subluxation, correct the alignment, take stress and pressure off the nervous system, and allow your body to function the way that it was created to, okay? So this is a conversation for another time, but I want to introduce to you something that we call the fuse box. And so this fuse box here, the concept of your brain and nervous system controlling and coordinating literally every single organ and function in your body looks like this. Over here on the left, you have the brain and the spine and the spinal cord, and then it shows you in these different categories here which organs those nerves go out to. And with subluxation or with nerve interference left uncorrected, like a car out of alignment long enough, it starts to interfere with enough of that communication from the brain to the body to eventually produce these symptoms in this column over here to your right. Okay? And so, for example, if you just look at how the body's laid out, literally how the anatomy of your nerve system works, there's certain nerves in different areas of your spine that go to specific organs. That's not a belief or a theory. That's literally just a fact. That's how the anatomy of your body works. So the nerves, for example, in the lower part of the neck, they go out to your thyroid gland. And if you have subluxation or nerve interference there for long enough, eventually we see things like hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism. That thyroid gland isn't getting the communication properly, and it starts to dysfunction. Now, in the last 3 months in the practice, we've had 2 different people get under care, get their subluxation and their nervous system functioning better, and they went back to their medical doctors and their endocrinologists, and one is off of one of their thyroid medications, and the other one has been able to reduce a dose with the co-management of their medical providers, okay? So that's really the goal of healthcare, or what the goal of healthcare should be, is to allow your body to truly heal from the inside out and be able to get to the root cause of why we're having the health dysfunction. The last thing that I want to tell you is this, is that communication happens from above down, inside out, okay? And so Christopher Reeve, or Superman, you remember him? Superman, he played him on TV. Christopher Reeve, he fell off the horse, right? And he didn't have a subluxation when he fell off the horse. He had a complete fracture, completely broke the top bone in his neck, his atlas. It sits right at the brainstem. And when he broke that bone, just like the scissors, it cut off 100% of the communication to the rest of his body. So immediately, his arms and his legs were paralyzed. He was a quadriplegic. But if you also remember, he had an iron lung to breathe. He had a colostomy bag. He was on life support. None of his organs worked either. And so when he broke this bone up here, 100% was cut off just like that. We're not talking about a complete fracture or a complete dislocation, but what we are talking about is that subluxation. Remember, sub means less than a full fracture or dislocation causing nerve system interference. So you can think about this fuse box like the fuse box or the circuit breaker in your home, and you have power supply that goes out to, for example, your washing machine, your dishwasher, your fridge, okay? And before somebody calls the repairman to come out and fix the air conditioner or the fridge, for example, or replace that fridge, meaning completely remove it and put a new one in, the first thing they do when their fridge starts acting up or isn't working correctly is they go downstairs or wherever the fuse box is, flips the door open, checks the circuit breaker, makes sure that there's proper power supply out to that appliance. Now, you can think of your organs the same way. So the nerves that come out from the base of your neck, like I talked about, instead of a dishwasher, think about your thyroid gland. Now, if the fuse is flipped the wrong way and it's cutting off the power supply from the brain to your thyroid gland, do you think that that can start to cause some dysfunction? But before we have the thyroid removed and completely replace that thing, or before we go on medication to treat the symptoms of hypothyroidism, don't you think that it makes more sense to check the power supply? That's what chiropractic's about. So Dr. Dan here with Beacon of Life Chiropractic. We're here to serve you. What the word doctor means in Latin is teacher. That's why we're doing these videos, is to be able to teach you how to reclaim control and responsibility over your greatest asset, your health, for yourself, for your family, and for generations to come. We look forward to serving you. God bless.